Looking at the lower torso, we can check out the tilt of the pelvis, which works for me here, and in the back as well. The deformation looks like it will work out pretty nicely. Check out the thighs, and we actually get some caving in of the thighs here. So it was a little misleading looking at this pelvis bone, thinking that it was working as expected. Now another problem here is that I have all the bones are the similar color in the legs. So the first thing I would just make sure of is that some of the points in the legs aren't assigned to the other color. Otherwise, what I'm going to actually have to do, because this weight map is going to be difficult to work with, is just change the colors up a little bit. So I think that should probably be the wisest thing. So I'll take the right thigh bone, and let's see, right shin bone, there it is, right thigh bone, and double click and choose its color here. So let's go with green. So green should work there. I'm going to change the purple color of the pelvis. Let's go with a pink. Well, now it's pretty obvious the color shifts in the areas there. So just changing the colors can really make a big difference. So I'll take my paintbrush, pick that thigh bone, and just get rid of some of this influence here. And just mirror as I go. Just tag the points and mirror across to the other side, and just go back into paint mode. Just going to make sure I sort out all the points kind of in the crotch area first, as they're going to make the deformations look the worst. Actually, what I don't want to do here is give the thigh any more influence than in the leg itself. So I'll leave the actual pelvis to take control from here. So this little line in the thigh actually makes a really good transition marker. The pelvis should really be responsible for some of the points up here. So I'm going to take the pelvis bone and just paint its influence a little higher into this hip line. Probably like that. It's probably still a little bit too high. See, it's caving in pretty horribly up top here. So I'll just add in a little bit more paint. And try to bring it down a little bit lower, maybe to just about the pelvis line. We'll try that out. And that's already looking quite a bit better. Let's see if I can add in these points right about here. And they just tend to cave in a little bit too much. So this looks like the best deformation I can get for this 100% weighting. There's definitely some points on this left thigh that should be assigned probably to the first vertebra and the pelvis bone. So I'll take that first vertebra and bring the weights up a little, bring them down a little bit lower. And add in these 2 points here. There we go. That's a really nice deformation. I was to take some of the cheek with me, let's just see what that would look like. These points here. Actually, that does keep the shape of the cheeks a little nicer down here. And if I add these points in, it does cave in a little bit, but I don't mind that by the time we smooth it out. But this does look a little better here. And if I pull these other points, it looks like we actually keep the shape of the cheek looking a little bit better with the weight map like this. So I'll keep that, and I'll just mirror all the weights over. Again, I can just grab all the points here and mirror weights. So we can just check that out on the other side. The shin shouldn't be too problematic. It looks pretty good. Could probably add in an extra edge loop if I wanted to. You can just see what that would do. Control middle click. Yeah, that looks nice. So maybe I'll go and try and get that same effect over on the other side. And that was on the lower portion of the knee. So I'll do the same thing over here. Just freeze that modeling stack. Aha. Just saw something in the weight map that I thought would look a little bit better. So I just took some of these points in the pelvis that were weighted to the left thigh and just brought them back into the pelvis. Just mirror that across. The heel looks like it's a little bit messy back here. I just have to do a little bit of painting of the heel bone. Strange how that influence ended up the way it did. If I add some weight back to this yellow bone here, the shin bone, I get a better deformation of the heel. And I'll finalize the toes by just making sure that this toe here is influenced by this blue bone, and the orange bone only controls the first three toes. Tag the points. Get around to the underside of the toe. If I move the toe bone, I get the effect the way I want. Except for this point here, it would look a lot better like that. Okay, I'll mirror all of these weights across now. Envelope mirror weights. Put the character back into the T-pose. And I think at this stage we could say that the character is roughed in. We've approached all the body parts of the character and accounted for roughing in the weights, so that the character actually could be animated. The weights would be a little rough, but they could still be animated and the performance would be legible, and at least start the process of animation, whether it was for an animatic or for rough keyframe animation. I'm going to export the model at this stage. If I just jump back into the Explorer, I'm going to first of all freeze off all of the paint operations I've executed. If I select the character, I can just check out what we've got here by looking under our envelope weight cluster, and you can see that under our envelope weights weight map we have a weight painter operator. This is all the painting that we've been doing with our paintbrush and the reassign locally. So I'm just going to freeze the modeling stack, which will freeze all operators underneath the modeling stack on clusters. So if you had UVs, or in this case weight painter operators, we can bake those in. Just optimize the weight map. Now, I can also offload my weight map if I ever needed to start kind of granularizing parts of this character. If we look in the Explorer, which is already open here, and I find my character mesh by hitting F, and I open up the body geo and access the envelope weight cluster, so I can find the envelope weights map. I'll double click or single click on the icon of the envelope weights and save a preset of the envelope weights. Now, the other way you can do this is to open up the weight editor, Control E, and save a preset from there. If I jump into the Exercise 7 training project, I could create a folder called Weight Maps, and I'll store the Malcore rough weights. Preset there. I'll also offload the Malcore model. Right click, export model, and we'll call this Malcore model envelope rough final. And I'll also save a backup scene file as well. So we can now move from the rough weighting to the smooth painting, where we'll be taking advantage of the weight editor, the smooth paintbrush, and the apply smooth operator.